Hello everyone, welcome to another Tutorial Tuesday tutorial. Today we're doing a tutorial on how to create the Ark of the Covenant. So let's get right into it right away. By the way, this tutorial was requested by Sophia Doreen 1980. She said, "Can you please do a tutorial of this, please? What software did you use?" That was a separate question on the side, but I actually answered that in the comments, but I will answer it on this video. I use Blender 3D, just so everyone knows. I think most people know, but some people don't. Different software programs might look similar to each other. So, okay, so we're gonna start off from the cube. Let's go ahead and first of all build the length of it. So we'll go ahead and build the length on the x-axis. So what we can do is just scale it on the x-axis like this. S, X, and then scale it. I'm gonna turn on the screencast keys really quick. Alright. Okay, so we need to continue adding the details to this box. It's basically a box shape. And then after we have this box shape, let's kind of make it into a rectangle. We need to add some little, I'm not sure exactly what you call them, but they're like little rivet kind of things. They go in and then come out. Kind of like little fancy details. So first of all, let's add the first one on the top. Let's go ahead and extrude it out one time like that. Or actually up, that wouldn't be out, but that would be up. Let's go ahead and extrude this out. We can actually let go of it and then scale it out to kind of an even size, even spacing on both axes. Okay, and then the next one we'll go ahead and scale it just in a bit. So we'll just extrude this part instead of extruding the whole top. So it adds an extra little lip there. And then let's go ahead and extrude this in, and then extrude it up, and extrude it out like this. And then let's extrude it in again, and then up like this. And then let's go ahead and extrude it in like this just to create the top piece. Extrude it about there. And then let's extrude it just a bit, like that, up on the z-axis. And let's go back into object mode. Let's take a look at this. And this looks pretty good. We added a bunch of little frill type things on the edges. And I think now would be a good time to add in the poles. So let's go ahead and add in the poles. The poles will be on each side like this, on this side and on this side. So what we want to do first of all is select one of the faces. So let's select this face. Press Shift S on the keyboard. Press cursor to selected. And we can now add our pole right in that location that we put that cursor there. Now the reason we put that cursor there was to the reason we put that cursor there was so that the cylinder or the object we're about to add will be added there. Otherwise, if we put, wherever you put this cursor, that is where your object will be added. So let's go ahead and do that again. Press Shift S on the keyboard, cursor to selected. So we're putting the cursor to this selected face. And let's go ahead and press Shift A. Let's add in the cylinder. Let's rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees. And let's scale this down to something more reasonable, like this. Scale it down to about there. And let's just scale it out along the y-axis to make it something of a good length. Probably about that long. Maybe a little bit shorter. Probably good. Okay, yeah, that's good. Now let's go ahead and create the rings, and then we can just mirror this or duplicate it and put it on the other side of this object instead of having to create it all over again on the other side. So let's go ahead, select these faces in the center here. You can go to vertices select. Let's just add in some loops here. Let's add in another one right there. And we're going to use a mirror modifier for this part. Let's go ahead and add a mirror modifier. So what we'll need to do for that is actually add some vertices right there in the center, and then just delete these other vertices. And we want to select this right here, limit selection to visible, so that we can actually select all the vertices through the object instead of just selecting the ones that you see or the ones that are visible. So let's select this with border select, press B on the keyboard, and then press X to delete, and then select vertices. Now let's go to the modifier tab, and let's add in a mirror modifier. Let's mirror this on the Y axis. I believe it should work, but let's just go ahead and apply the location by pressing Control A on the keyboard. So we needed to apply the rotation, so we just have to do Control A and then select rotation. Okay, so now that it's mirrored, now we can go ahead and extrude and make the rings. So let's go ahead and border select this ring for these two edge loops, and let's extrude them outwards like this. And I think it would be best to actually separate this object. So let's select all of that. Let's press P and then select selection. So you separate the selection. So we just made a ring. There we go. Let's smooth this. So I just press T to open up this toolbar. Press smooth on the keyboard. I'm going to select these rings now and then smooth them as well. And we might want to add something like a bevel modifier, or maybe even a subsurf modifier to this. Okay, let's add in a subsurf, see what that looks like. Yeah, I think a subsurf modifier looks nice. So let's add in 2 levels of subdivisions. Let's make sure this middle piece right here is not open and it's actually stuck in the middle. It's sealed in the middle. Okay, so now we've created the nice handling poles, or nice carrying poles. Just added an edge loop to change so it's not so, doesn't have that weird effect at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's mirror this pole to the other side. So the way we'll do that is just by adding the origin point of this pole to the same, make this pole's origin point, which I don't think we even have to do. I just selected it and realized that the origin point is already in the center of this box. So all we have to do now is just mirror it on the x-axis. I just figured out. And now we have it on both sides. It's perfect. So let's go ahead and add in these rings to the mirror. Let's select X as well. Make sure that you select these rings first, of course, because they're separate from the poles. They won't mirror automatically. As you saw earlier, there was a hole right there. But now it's perfectly mirrored, and now all we have to do is finish this up. So what I want to do first of all, before we get into the angels on the top, I want to go ahead and go into tab. Well, it's not going into tab, it's going to edit mode. I'm going to select the face select mode, and I'm going to separate this top piece right here, just so that it's separate. It'll be like a top piece that comes off. Let's go ahead and press P on the keyboard. And I think I made this piece the top piece. I'm not sure if it was this piece or I made this whole piece right here as well. Let me see about that. Let me check to see if I even did that. First of all, let's see what I did here. I'm gonna check the other file. Yep, I actually made it so that that piece was the whole piece was part of it. So let's go ahead and select this piece right here, and let's select edge select mode so that we can get these rings, and let's select the 4 corners as well. These 4 corners, just so we select the whole object, the entirety of this object. And let's press P on the keyboard and then select selection so that we get the whole selection. And let's just join these 2 objects since we did this separate from this. Let's select both of these objects and then press Ctrl J, and that will join the 2 objects. And now they're both joined. And that is the top piece. So this will be the top where you'd open it up. So let's go ahead and work on the angels now. Let's put them, I don't know if they're actually, I think they're different from angels, but let's add the extra design on the top. Let's go ahead and do that, just like in the picture on the thumbnail of this video or at the beginning when I just showed you. Let's add in those 2, I forget what they are, cherubim, but let's go ahead and add them in now. Let's make a mirror across this. First of all, as you can see here, let's take a look at this. There is no line. The edge we want to add in, it should be in the middle, but it's not. It's adding in the side because these 2 objects are not joined yet. We join them as one, but they're still not connected in edit mode. As you can see there, they should be moving together, that edge, but it's not. So what we need to do is press W, select the whole thing. Make sure you select the whole thing by pressing A on the keyboard, and then you see that it's highlighted. Press W and then click on remove doubles, and then it says up here removed 4 vertices. So now there's 4 there were 4 vertices that were not actually connected to anything. They're just floating. So now everything's connected. Now we can go ahead and add an edge loop, and it'll be perfectly down the center. We can just select left click and then right click to just place it where it is and leave it there. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on that on the cherubim. The way we're going to do this is we're going to make one starting over here, and then we're going to make the other one on the other side. We're going to start them from cubes, just like all the rest of this pretty much. Well, just like this piece, the main box piece of it, because the poles, of course, we didn't use cubes. What we're going to do now, though, is add in a mirror modifier and mirror this. So let's delete. Let's see, which side do we need to delete? We need to delete this side. So let's delete this side. So select vertices, and now that's perfectly mirrored on both sides. Let's add in a cube, but first of all we need to place the cursor where we're going to add our cube. Let's add it right in the center. Let's select cursor to selected on this face at the top. Let's add in a cube, but I think we'll add it in while we have this top piece selected in edit mode, so that it will add it to this and it'll automatically mirror the object, and both will be facing, and both the wings should be touching. So let's go ahead and make the base of it. Select this object, make it a little bit smaller, move it back a bit. And this was a really basic thing here, so I just kind of move this in, just extruded it down, probably split it, and then made the feet in the back like this. Let's make it like that. We can even mirror it this way if we need to. Just select faces, delete the faces, and then we can mirror, make sure the mirror is selected like that. And of course it'll start mirroring this, so we can just delete this as well. And then it'll mirror all of that, just like we need it to. Let's make it move forward a bit. And then I just need to look at this reference image really quick to see how I did this. Okay, so the feet are kind of going in, and then this part kind of comes out a bit. The back feet are going in though, like this. Just move them in, like that. Just move that in a bit. And then let's just extrude this part up. And then let's extrude the head right about, let's see, just move this piece right here as well, this edge over. Let's see, this center piece is not supposed to be stuck together, so we need to turn on clipping, make sure everything's sealed, nothing's sticking through. Let's move it to the side. Okay. Let's go ahead. Maybe we're gonna go ahead and extrude the legs out in the front. Let's move this up, forward a bit. Let's extrude it and scale it in. Let's extrude it down, rotate it a bit, and then move these out. Let's take a look at this reference image again. Let's see how I did this. Okay, so these are separate, of course, like that. And then it just extrudes and scales out a bit to be like, kind of like feet. To move these down so it touches the surface. And then the head, just extrude it out. Extrude it out a bit, like that. Just trying to make this look more like a head. Just move it like that. Of course, it's not a two-headed beast, so we don't do that. We need to merge these. Make sure clipping is turned on. I thought I just turned that on. Just make sure it's all lined up. Okay. It's looking pretty good so far. Now, let's move it back a bit. So let's border select it and then move it back. And I think something like that should be good. As long as the wings are touching, we just need to make sure there's enough space. It might need to be a little bit wider. Let's select them and then make them a little bit wider. Okay. And I think these don't need to be spread out so much. Just pull them in a bit. Maybe like that. And then kind of move these out to look more like feet. Okay. That is looking pretty good. Just move this loop down. Let's scale this in to make the legs a little bit smaller. And I think we're almost done with that. Probably need to scale in the neck so it's not so thick. And then just create the wings now. Let's select this face right here. Now let's extrude it out. Of course, we have to make it smaller. Probably a good idea to make it smaller, starting closer to this torso area. And let's move this up and down just to kind of make it symmetrical. So it kind of looks a little bit better. And we can go ahead and extrude it out. Just create these wings. It's kind of a cool part. It's one of my favorite parts, doing the wings. Scale this in just so that it gradually gets smaller, just like wings usually do. And let's select this vertices select mode so that we can rotate this so that it's not clipping. It's not like going over the other vertices. And let's Let's move these wings so that they're touching. Just drag them out. So they're touching like this. And just make sure everything looks great, looks good. I think it's a good idea to move this down like that. And probably even move this back so it's closer to the back. And I think that looks pretty good so far. Yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's a nice idea, and even could be a nice logo. You can tweak it to you think it looks good enough, or tweak it to your liking. But that's pretty much how I did it. So yeah, I think we're done with this now. We can even make it more realistic by parenting this piece to this, so that it will move around if you carry this, and then maybe even parent the poles. Make the poles the parent to everything, so that it would be like you're carrying it. So you can select the top, and then parent that to this piece. So select object. Now that'll be parented to that, and then parent this to the poles. You can parent that to the poles, and now when you move the poles, it moves the whole object. And now we can select these rings. I think it's a good idea to add these to probably parent them to the poles as well. And now everything will move with the poles. You don't have to worry about anything being lost or being left behind. And yeah, that's how you create the Ark of the Covenant that I created. It's a basic version. There's a lot, you could do a lot more intricacies, add a lot of detail to it. Even after you do this, you could add a lot of detail to it, as much as you'd like. I'm not exactly sure what the real Ark of the Covenant looks like, but I know that this is kind of the idea of what it looked like. So yeah, let's go ahead and create the material for this as well. Let's make it a glossy. That's what I used. I used glossy material, and I just made it kind of a golden yellowish color like this. And go ahead and test it out. Go into the rendered view mode. Just make sure everything has that added to it. It's over here. But we can even change the viewport color so that it matches, just like that. Matches. We can see it. Let's make the background. For the original render, I used an HDR image, but we can just make it lighter if we need to. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I also did 0.001, I'm pretty sure, on the roughness. Just add a tiny bit of roughness, very small amount. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This might not be the exact color of gold that I used, but I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, you can add in film, color management type of effect to it, and it adds an interesting looking effect. But yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. Thank you for requesting Sophia. I'm glad to make this tutorial for you, and glad you requested it. Thank you guys for watching again. Thank you for subscribing. I now have like 631 subscribers, which is amazing. I want to thank you all, and I want to keep making tutorials for you all because y'all are just awesome. So I will see you guys next time on the next Tutorial Tuesday. See you later.